Shalom and welcome. Here we're going to be utilizing in this beginning session about going through the vocabulary. I'm going to go through the vocabulary. I'm going to vocalize each one of them, and this will give you the ability to actually go through, read the vocabulary, and you can read along with me and utilize the pronunciations and get kind of used to them, the fact with hearing somebody else say it with you. So kind of look at this as just a nice big visual audio book. So instead of having a book where somebody's sitting next to you and they're kind of helping you out, you got, this nice beautiful visual, and we're reading the book together and we're going to help you out as you go along through this. So without further ado, let's begin. We're going to go through proper nouns. We're going to go through all of the males and female nouns together. I'm going to point out which one's a female noun and which one is a male noun. Some of them you can figure out, but you might have a question as to what is this or what is that. Okay? So here we go. Avraham, 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 Tzvia, 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 Chaim, 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 Yehoshua, 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 Tikva, 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 Shem, 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 Yoshiyahu, 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 Simcha, 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 Noach, Noach, and Noach. You might find something really interesting here is the fact that all of the proper nouns that are feminine have a hey at the end. Tzvia, Tikva, and Simcha. These are all nouns that are feminine, and therefore these proper nouns are referring to girl names. Okay? Now, let's go to the verbs. The verbs, as you'll see, is broken up in two categories. On your right-hand side, you're going to have your female verbs, and on your left-hand side, you're going to have your masculine verbs. Hebrew functions like many languages where you literally have masculine and feminine ways in which you speak. So if you want to talk to a girl, you got to use this verb. If you want to talk to a boy, you have to use this verb. And you have to understand how and when you're going to be doing this just based upon the fact of if it's a boy or it's a girl. Which makes it easy, actually, because with this very thing, you can tell by reading the context if it's a boy or a girl that's the subject, because all you have to do is identify the verb and then bing, there you go. If the verb's masculine, you know the subject's masculine. If the verb's feminine, you know the subject's feminine. So let's begin. Kara, called. Kara, called. Kara, called. Kara, called. Amar, said. Amar, said. Amra, said. Amra, said. Amad, stood. Amad, stood. Amda, stood. Amda, stood. Zachar, remembered. Zachar, remembered. Zakra, remembered. Zakra, remembered. Halach, went or walked. Halach, went or walked. Halcha, went or walked. Halcha, went or walked. Shama, heard or listened. Shama, heard or listened. Sham'a, heard or listened. Sham'a, heard or listened. Now you might be sitting here saying, wait a second, we got two words very similar, but they're a little different in how we use it in English, and yet we have one word meaning both. You got to understand something. In Hebrew, we use a lot of context with certain words as to differentiate between did we mean listen or did we mean heard. Interesting thing about this is if you understand how English uses this word, you can actually see and figure out real quickly if it's heard or if it's listened, because if you can say it in English, that doesn't make any sense. You know it means listened. Or saying heard and that makes sense versus listen, then you know heard is the correct one. Here we go for the next one. Lamad, learned. Lamad, learned. Lamda, learned. Lamda, learned. Yashav, sat. Yashav, sat. Yashva, sat. Yashva, sat. Katav, wrote. Katav, wrote. Katva, wrote. Katva, wrote. Shachach, forgot. Shachach, forgot. Shachcha, forgot. Shachcha, forgot. Chashav, thought. Chashav, thought. Chashva, thought. Chashva, thought. Ra'ah, saw. Ra'ah, saw. Now here's a little tricky one. We have 3 syllables in this one. It's going to be ra'ata. So every vowel is a syllable. Real simple when we see this, and it makes it so much beautiful to realize, hey, more vowels, more syllables. Less vowels, less syllables. Ra'ata, saw. Ra'ata, saw. Achal, ate. Achal, ate. Achla, ate. Achla, ate. Shata, drank. Shata, drank. Shatta, drank. Shatta, drank. Matzah, found. Matzah, found. Matzah, found. Matzah, found. Avad, lost. Avad, lost. Avda, lost. Avda, lost. Sha'al, asked. Sha'al, asked. Sha'la, asked. Sha'la, asked. Ana, answered. Ana, answered. Anta, answered. Anta, answered. Chazar, returned. Chazar, returned. Chazra, returned. Chazra, returned. So this is this section of vocabulary which we're doing. And as we go on, we're going to learn the secondary section of vocabulary in the next video. So just go through this video if you want to memorize these and kind of get them more acquainted too. What I like to do is, for my kids and stuff, we take these different words and I put these things in an audio file. I MP3 them. My kids listen to them. They remember these words. We put these words back and forth inside the heart and mind so that we can put these things to memory. Because honestly, it's actually better to memorize these things by hearing than just by visualization. And why I say this is because when we hear something and remember what the word is, it is even better when we get to read it, because we're automatically knowing with what that word means by our hearing and remember what that word means, rather than memorizing vocabulary and having to say, what's that word again? And when you look at it, oh, now remember. Whereas if you hear it and you look at it, boy, think about just how much more your memorization of memorizing what these words are and remember what they mean. So we'll see you next time as we learn more of vocabulary here.